I'm often asked, can separating actually help reconcile a marriage? So often you're told no, because if you're physically separated, how could you possibly work on your marriage? But the truth is, yes, a marriage can be worked on even if you're physically separated. You don't have to live together with someone to see their character, especially if you still share financial responsibilities and care of children. Now, I don't recommend physical separation in a marriage as a first step unless there are serious safety concerns. However, after repeated attempts to get your husband's attention, it may be time to draw a line in the sand and say something like, I'm not going to live like this anymore. Because separating is a strong boundary that can function as a splash of cold water that can wake your husband up to the consequences of his repeated sin. But the bigger question is, how can you work on your marriage if you're not living together, if he's in a separate household? Well, there are a lot of ways to do this, starting with your husband's ability to accept your no and respect your boundary of separation without whining, manipulating, or threatening you. His actions will show you that he's working to change by being honest with you about what he's doing, where he's going, what he's spending. He can begin to show more reliability and care by regularly paying the bills he's obliged to pay, even while you're separated, as well as showing the children that he cares about them, that he's committed to them, and he's learning to be a better dad than he's been in the past. Marriage counseling is usually not the first step right now. Individual counseling works better. If you decide to reconcile your marriage, you will have issues to work on maritally, but when you separate from someone who's shown a pattern of chronic deceit, explosive anger, verbal and or emotional abuse of you and your children, or physical and emotional affairs with other people, these behaviors are not about problems in your marriage that need to be fixed. They're actually indicators that your spouse's character has a problem that he needs to work on, and his own emotional and spiritual maturity needs development. In order to repair the marriage, he first has to recognize that he has a problem, that he needs to repent. He needs help to mature and change before you can do any marital work. Because chronic patterns of abuse, addiction, and adultery are not marriage problems. They cause marriage problems for sure, but they are personal sin issues. They're character issues. And during separation, those character issues must be addressed for you to see any real change. And a person cannot change something he does not see or will not admit to. Therefore, marital separation gives your spouse the opportunity to take a good hard look at himself and the reason why you left the marriage in the first place. Now, there are no guarantees he'll do it, but separation can function like a strong whiff of ammonia. It's meant to jolt him awake into seeing the truth. I'm all for salvaging a marriage if it's possible. However, one person cannot do it alone. It takes two individuals to truly reconcile a broken and damaged marriage. What do you see your husband doing to repent, to change, or to mature and grow? And are you also doing your own work of healing your trauma, forgiving the offense or offenses, developing your voice, walking in your core strength, and deciding whether or not you can trust this man again? Hear me, reconciliation is not just a matter of forgiving and putting the past in the past, because the past, when it's been repetitive, always creeps up again into the present. Often an abuser claims change, but when you require accountability or extra time to heal, they balk at your needs, your voice, and your boundaries. They're not okay with you getting stronger and challenging their unhealthy, entitled attitude or actions. They just want you to go back the way it was, living on their terms, pretending everything is fine, accepting their charming side as evidence of change, when their character remains the same, even if it's better hidden. Do you think that's what's best for you, for him, for your kids, for your marriage? I don't think so. Because a healthy relationship is made up of two separate healthy individuals who are capable of taking good care of their own selves while they demonstrate genuine love and care for each other. So during this separation, get yourself strong and healthy. Hopefully he will do the same, instead of trying to manipulate you into backing down and taking him back. You will see over time whether he's doing his work, accepting responsibility for his own brokenness and healing, as well as working hard on changing his unhealthy patterns, instead of requiring you to simply forgive and accept him the way he is. Finally, there are two things you must see if you want to know if change is happening while you're separated. First, is he growing in self-awareness? When he's getting close to crossing the line, does he know it? You see, no one's perfect. We all get tempted to lie, to cover up stuff, to get harsh with our words, to play with fire. And when he's getting tempted with those things that have harmed your marriage in the past, is he aware of it? And what's his plan to guard his heart and his mind? Has he put good boundaries in place for himself to protect himself against repeating the past offenses? If you don't see him doing his own work, guess what? He's not changing. Second, because he's human, he won't always see everything he should see about himself. That's why Hebrews 3:13 tells us that we need one another, because any one of us can become hardened by the deceitfulness of sin. So the second thing you want to see is he now values your voice, your feedback. He wants to know when you see that he's starting to get riled up or scary. And when you tell him, he now listens. He's not shutting you down. He's not telling you you're crazy. He's grateful that you care enough to let him know that he's getting close to crossing the line so that he can be aware of that and self-correct. If you don't see that happening, both his gratitude and his self-correction, don't be fooled by flowers, loving words, and promises, because nothing's changing. Physical separation, while very painful, can give a destructive spouse an opportunity to see himself more clearly, repent, and change. Sadly, my experience is that instead of doing their own work, they often blame you and accuse you of being hard-hearted, unforgiving, ungodly, while they start to feel like the innocent victim of your boundaries. That's why you too must have good people around you who will help you walk in core strength, firmly clinging to God's love for you. Take care and God bless.